Well, greetings, everybody. This is Mike Rochelle from Dallas, Texas. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm here to welcome our main speaker for the evening, Clay Aiena, the CIO from Orthofix. How are you doing tonight, Clay?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mike?
Awesome. We're also joined by a couple of partners, Keith Thode from AdvancedNet Labs. Keith, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, and glad you made it safely home from Boston. Brian Howard, how are you tonight?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Job Seeker Pro. Yep. And two of our other board members, Brian Williams, how are you tonight?
Doing well.
Awesome. And both you and Akshay are joining us from Flower Mound, Texas, right?
Yeah.
How's it going, Akshay?
Oh, doing good, Mike.
Good. And Clay's just down the road in Lantana, just so you guys know. So, wow, we've been really, really busy for the last month. The last time we were here, I was at Rice University with my daughter. We're about to go to UT Austin soon. Got a senior in the house, so lots of fun happening there, as you can well imagine. I wonder how much time we have to spend driving back and forth between universities as parents. Anybody have any guesses on that? I think, Keith, you probably win the lottery on that one because you have.
That's right. That's right. I've got 56 hours in the last 6 weeks of driving. So
yeah, wow. kids in school in Boston will do that to you every time.
We thought Mississippi was a long way. That's a bit longer. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, exactly. Was she at Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, yeah. Connor, my oldest, is at DBU across town. He's easy, but Ole Miss is 9 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul's 12 minutes away at UNT, and Erica, we'll see where she ends up. Baylor was only 2 hours, so that wasn't that bad. Well, let's go ahead and get into this. You know, we have a tremendous gift in the DFW and in Texas with IT champions from across many, many industries. Clay, you're our fourth since we reinstituted AITP Lone Star. We're really looking forward to hearing about digital experience. We also have quite a few folks that are already lined up, including Amir Tubai from the Dallas Museum of Art. I brought some art out and put it behind me tonight because he's going to do something that's going to blow you away. I'm not going to give it away, but they're doing some really cool things with art and AI. And then finally, Brad Cope just signed up for January. So I already have people into January of 2025 as well. So looking forward to that. One of the things that we did over the last couple of weeks is we added a word to our kind of missional statement. You know, we are an ecosystem of value for all IT professionals and leaders doing professional networking and partner events. We added to our leadership and education and people process technology innovation give back. And we'll talk a little bit about a project that we've taken on to help the Virtues Project put together a page. Sounds pretty simple to connect their CRM with their paying system and get available where people can go to Virtues Project workshops all around the world. We're talking about Nairobi and in Japan and Canada, the US, South America, Europe, all over the place. So good stuff, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later. Akshay, you want to talk a little bit about our membership and why one would want to and how inexpensive it is?
So let's start with the inexpensive stuff. Our membership is just like a $91 annually, which comes to like less than $7 a month, probably a cup of coffee from Starbucks.
Absolutely.
So, right. So we would encourage everyone watching this and following our channel to come and join the AITP Lone Star chapter.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Akshay. So it's my pleasure to introduce tonight a friend and colleague that actually met when we were, let's see, what were we doing, Clay? It was a
Digital Technology Merit Badge.
merit badge for the Boy Scouts for technology, and I had been given the assignment, and so had Clay. So we ended up coordinating on the fly, doing a co-presented technology merit badge for about 3 hours on one Saturday afternoon, many years ago when our boys were little. Both of them are now Eagles, and really exciting times. I'm actually looking for your bio here, so bear with me. And of course, I did take a picture of that. Clay is the Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. Yeah,
I found it. So Clay is the CIO of Orthofix, a leading global spine and orthopedics company with a comprehensive portfolio of biologics, innovative spinal hardware, bone growth therapies, specialized orthopedic solutions, and a leading surgical navigation system. Their products are distinguished in 68 countries worldwide. Headquartered in Louisville, Texas, with primary offices in Carlsbad, California, and Verona, Italy, their combined company's global R&D, commercial, and manufacturing footprint also includes facilities and offices around the globe. Aiena began his career in 1999 with the United States Marine Corps as a communications officer and deployed during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Before joining Orthofix, he was VP and managing executive partner at Gartner, the CIO at Stonegate Senior Living, and served in various business and IT leadership roles with Stryker. Aiena graduated from Texas McComb School of Business with an MBA and from the United States Naval Academy with an undergraduate degree in computer science. Wow, I would come to listen to you talk just about anything with that pedigree. But first of all, I want to be the first among the board members and our special guests to thank you for your service for our country. Very much appreciated. And I know you have several other veterans on your staff there at Orthofix too.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah. So Clay, I'm going to take my slides down and bring yours up, and I can move them forward for you, or you can, whichever way you want.
I got it.
You're ready to go.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. Really excited to be here at Lone Star, AITP Lone Star. I was involved with the organization years ago with Mike, and it's nice to be back and talking through this. This is a really interesting topic for me. I think this is something that has evolved quite a bit, and I'm going to selfishly bring in some, things that I'm going through within Orthofix, and maybe a few personal things here. But digital experience and leadership, as you can tell, we've got that military background. I'm deeply interested in leadership. I love technology and how it can really help add value done correctly within an organization. So just a lot of cool topics. We're not going to get really far in the weeds. Everybody's probably worked all day. Maybe you're having a cocktail at night already. I haven't yet, but this will be a really fun conversation and certainly open for discussion or questions toward the end. But let's jump into this topic. And again, I'm going to start with something that is personal and is basically based on a trip I recently had with my son. My son is going into his senior year at DBU here across town in Dallas, and we went out for an off-roading, his first real off-roading event out in Colorado. Beautiful area. Highly recommend you go. You don't have to off-road. It's a little scary, but it's a lot of fun. And I took this picture. And it dawned on me is at the end of this was such a great, simple example of a digital experience, encounter, in something that you wouldn't normally see. And this is a picture on Imogene Pass. It's a unique scenario, which I'll kind of talk about a little bit here. You can't quite tell. This is actually a few seconds after I had engaged what's called the sway bar disconnect, and it kind of rested the Bronco back down. It's still a couple inches off the ground. This was his first opportunity to get a little bit off, to have one wheel high off the ground, and it scared him. He was freaking out just a little bit, but it was under control and we were okay. But we didn't have that control immediately, and I'll just show you a little bit why, and a little bit of the digital transformation that this has gone through. On the picture on the left, it's hard to see, but kind of buried in there, there's a bar with a cotter pin in it, and you used to manually, or in a lot of applications now, you would manually remove this even today. And what the Bronco, the new generation of Bronco, has done is they've created this great digital transformation where you just have to hit a button. And so we've got these buttons across the dashboard on top of the Bronco, and we call them the hero buttons. You can press any one of these, and instantly your Bronco will just do anything, right? Climb any mountain, ford any river, whatever. And one of these buttons is the stay bar disconnect that would allow you to have some flex in the wheels and not have that wheel dangling in the air and feeling like my son said we're about to flip off the mountain and tumble to our deaths, which is what went through his mind. So unfortunately, me as the leader in the situation, I forgot which button it was. And I was trying to figure it out from these tiny little pictures you can see there. And I had him picking the wrong button and it wasn't the right one. And finally he hit it and the Bronco lowered back down into the position you saw from the first slide here. And it was a little more stable. So, just an interesting experience. It's digital. They transformed it, but we couldn't quite execute on that in the time frame that would have been smart. Actually, if I had it implemented before we left, that would have been a better leadership. So we're going to talk about digital transformation, digital experience, and leadership and how that plays in. But I will kind of go to this screen here, and Mike, if you'll make this one bigger for everybody, this is kind of an interesting picture. It's a little digital, it's like a Sasquatch picture, but if you can see there, that is not the picture of digital user happiness. He was a little bit frustrated and trying to get used to that. And if you've been in the IT world, I probably have some of my IT team on this, maybe even some of our business partners. We've seen that face before. We know it. We know it well, and we want to have happy digital users. This was not the case at this point. I promise you, he was smiling more later on. But let's just dig into this a little bit, right? So, simple example. We live in a much more complex world. We have a lot going on. And why does this matter? And this is something I've been thinking about for a couple of years. I was at Gartner for a bit. We talked a lot about digital transformation. That was the buzz phrase. But it wasn't just that. People were actually doing this. And I would say certainly over the last 10 years, every methodology was out there. I think people have been doing this for 15 plus years, automating anything that was manual. I see it manual. I see it's inefficient. I want to transform this. And so that was the push. And now you've got AI taking over that hype cycle. Complexity is just everywhere. But what I would submit to you is that getting the value on those investments and having all of that complexity with that digital transformation that we've all just been really good at, you got to be careful because it's really more about that experience and how your users can maximize those tools. How simple is it for them to use? How quickly can they get their Bronco or their off-road vehicle back to a safe place and not get frustrated, right? So practically, I think we're in a phase right now where if we're not careful, we can have end users that are overwhelmed in the change involved in that and the clunky experiences there. A couple of stats from Gartner I think are just really interesting, right? 74% of employees think I'm going to produce high quality work. I can get the job done, maybe I'm inefficient, but high quality work is what we're after, maximum value. If we have great user experiences, we can collaborate better, we can complete tasks on time at a higher percentage, over 70%. And the counter to that is 18% think right now, this is a few years old, but I would imagine this is fairly similar. 18% think that the user experience and a lot of the information tech that we put out there is not great. So we have to own that as IT leaders. We have to embrace that. So as we move along into our experience and the use case that I want to bring to bear to highlight some of this, what we're going through, I would say any change event could apply to this. And if you're involved in some kind of change, M&A is sometimes the most intrusive change you can have. And in my company, we've gone through the last year and a half a merger between Orthofix and C-Spine, all public information. But this is something that we've been going through since January of 2023, so about a year and a half. And we've had identified earlier on 50 projects. There's over 100 applications that we had to sort through and figure out. A lot of sites within the U.S. And we've got a lot of global sites, as Mike mentioned, that weren't necessarily impacted, but we had a lot of regression impacts as we learned the hard way in some cases. So, the risk here, if you're just thinking about transformation or consolidation or whatnot, and not the digital experience from all those personas, all those users you have, you could step right into very inefficient processes, low value add, continuing to keep digital transformation or legacy, there for a while. Competing technologies to stick around forever. There's a lot of risks here if you don't think about that digital experience carefully as you step into this. And I've done a lot of M&A, and I can't always tell you that we've thought about experience over just let's consolidate, let's capture the synergy, let's capture the business process efficiency only. There's a lot more to it if you want to have high quality outcomes versus just financial outcomes. So this model here, I'm going to talk about our approach. What did we do? Keeping this very simple for us at this point to absorb it. We really approach this from a standpoint of we do have that big task to consolidate. We do have all of those standard goals and targets that you have here. But we really wanted to think about, and it's a journey, it's not an overnight thing, but we wanted to think about how do we make this, or how do we start to make this a better experience for the end user, and then how that helped drive some of our decisions. And the simplify piece, which is the first one you see at the top, is kind of a no-brainer. But it's not just because you want to have a straightforward technology architecture and service catalog. It's also because you want to have a good experience for all of the frontline folks that are out there making the business run, right? I've run into this a lot where we've waited. There's, let's push that can down the road. Let's not consolidate. So I would say, don't wait. We decided not to wait. Let's move forward. Let's clarify how we're going to be combining this. Let's make access to these applications easy, or at least put that journey to get there so it's not something that's hard. Let's make sure that we are engaging all of those user bases, right? And so we do this in a way because we're multi-site. We have a lot of professionals within the organization that will engage and develop relationships. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But making sure that we have working groups, making sure that we're pulling in input. And we have to overcome some of that fear of change that happens naturally in this, that do nothing attitude, because that will kill that experience if we do nothing. That will absolutely destroy some of the value that we want to create here. But you've got to understand those personas. You've got to understand the different working styles. We are in an environment, it depends on your company, where you could be hybrid. You could have a lot of manufacturing on site, support staff. You could have people that are a few days in and out of the week. You could have 100% remote staff. We're in an environment now where we have to create great experiences for all of those styles, all those situations. So understanding that's important. And the preference bias that we have as well. Some people love what they have. They love their shiny object. They love their tool. They've been on it forever. So we have to navigate through those things because it's really about the experience as a combined company. In our case, that's more important than just one preference from one side. But we still have to listen to that and weave it in and make some hard decisions. So that ties into that digital experience foundation. Okay, you've got all the transformation consolidation going on, and what you really need to do here is create a foundation. We're not done. We're just a work in progress. We're trying to create something that will allow us to capture value faster, allow us to accelerate the next round of initiatives and the next round of business need that we have to accomplish our goals, and make sure that we can be ready to accelerate over the next couple of years. And that's really what we've started to do. But we only achieve that by thinking about the digital experience that our users would have. So a few examples that are around there. We've got big platforms that we've aligned to. That's a no-brainer. But even simple things, and I've got a picture in the bottom left corner there of a conference room. We've said earlier on, we would like, no matter where you go, we would like folks to be able to have a similar experience in any conference room they go in. So we started down that journey. We're not done. We've got a lot of rooms to do, and we've got to balance the budget. But we've got, you can see there, Teams rooms, and that's something that we've consolidated to. Some people loved Zoom, some people loved other tools, but we had to make some hard decisions because that overriding experience of no matter what we do, let's go in there. and have that experience that's common if we have travelers or we have remote people that are engaging with us in the same rooms. So just scratching the surface here, but just that approach that we have to take the standard M&A playbooks that everybody has out there and add in this element of, are we considering digital experience? But there's a missing element here, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart. We have to make sure that we have leaders that are ready. And I'm focused on the IT aspect of this. I would submit that this does take a village, right? It takes the business and the IT leaders to make this work successfully. But within our control, we're talking from an IT perspective. To really appreciate what can happen in how we can deliver on digital experience outcomes that can be valuable, we have to focus on the leadership aspect of this. Now, again, this could be any change. I'm focusing on this M&A, this merger experience. But again, any significant change to the organization, I think, is important for us to think about. And I have a phrase that I use quite a bit, and it probably comes back from the military aspect. We are leaders first, and we're technologists second. If you're in a leadership or a senior role, I'm really looking for that leadership aspect to come out. If you're going to drive even baseline digital transformation, but you want to step into that heightened area of digital experience and great digital experience, that's going to take a lot of leadership, a lot of influence, and making sure that you can, drive that change in a decentralized way. So, as we think about what are we focused on from an IT perspective, one of the first things that we want to do is make sure we're prioritizing alignment with leaders. I'm going to give a shout out to Mike here in a bit from his what he did with us to help us achieve this. But we prioritize not necessarily the technology first, but it was building trust, building relationships first within our management group, and then certainly expanding that out into that multi-site environment. And we've delegated because there's trust built there. Right? Not easy to do. It's still a journey, like I said, but it's something that we wanted to set as a foundation and then receive that input into that group from all of our SMEs, help us to make those decisions. So a lot of risks here if we don't address the leadership aspect of a big change, of trying to do digital transformation, of trying to achieve a great digital experience. Okay, that mistrust, the slow adoption, the hey, let's go do something else because we don't really trust what's going on here, or we make a decision that no one really follows practically down at the right level, and it's being undermined. We want to make sure that we focus on that first. So again, our approach, work in progress. I'll never claim that we're done and we've solved all of this. What we've really started with very early on, and this is where Mike's relationship really came into. I asked him, hey, could you come out and help us with a challenge? And that is, we have merged an IT group. We have a lot of new leaders that are getting to know each other. And this was early in 2023. We did this very quickly. And we set up a workshop and we got everybody out here to the Dallas area. And we started immediately talking about goals, their motivations. Mike calls it the coat of arms. We had allocated, just for reference, we'd allocated, I think, 3 to 4 hours to do that discussion, to go through coat of arms. I think we ended up going 6+ hours, and we were not talking about technology. So think about that for a second. We had a expensive meeting, right, with a bunch of technology leaders from around the globe. We brought in international as well, and we spent 6 hours not really talking about technology, but talking about our goals, our motivations, things that are important to us. And people opened up. People opened up. And Mike and I think, were a little surprised with how much people opened up. And I was really proud of the team for doing that. And so that was just a pivotal event for us. And then we did a follow-up this year, a year later as well. And we talked about values and aligning. And I can't just say how important it is for an organization to not just focus on some of the technical pieces or the process building pieces, but to really focus on the relationship piece before you jump into some of these hard things that we have going on. So another thing that we really focused on doing was some fun team building and some core leadership. Again, not necessarily technology, but we started to step into, all right, here's the challenges that we have. We've got to solve those 100+ applications. We've got to engage with a lot of process, alignment discussions that are happening with our business teams. We've had a lot of, this is all public, we've had a lot of kind of leadership changes and whatnot we've had to deal with. And we wanted to make sure we had some core relationships built internally. So we're really happy with where we started and laid that foundation. And that second bullet around driving alignment is what was enabled by that. We moved very quickly to try to get some decisions, listening, a lot of sessions from everybody to understand where we want to go, pro and cons, psychological safety to really hear that out, and also again tie it back to that digital experience. What are the users? What are the business peers? What do you need from this site that's different from this site? How have you worked in the past? What's worked in the past and what works now? Bring all of that in, and let's make decisions around where we want to go, and really start that discussion. A key aspect of this is when we make that decision, again, because we've built some foundational trust, when you leave the room, whether that's a virtual room, a Teams room, a Zoom room, whatnot, we are all aligned. And the expectation is we're going to promote that decision as a team when we leave the room. Really important aspect of that. And I would submit, if you think you're going to be driving some great digital transformation and certainly promoting a great experience, if you're aligned and you're an ambassador for that, that is going to be something that's really going to help that. So we sent everybody back out to the teams, and that's the empower part there. You really, for our model, we embrace a business relationship management model. And I think this is something that we continue to mature and we continue to drive. But I can't do it all from my seat. I'm not in every site. I'm not in every meeting. This has to be delegated out to where those relationships are built based on those values, based on the goals and the strategy that we've laid out as a cohesive team, and have, again, I'll use that word, ambassadors, have our leads go back out and be ambassadors for that within the organization. It's a journey, and I will tell you that there are individuals within IT that are very good at this, and you know what I'm talking about. You have people that are very good with the technology, very good with the relationships, and they can bridge that gap, and they are tremendous influencers in an organization. But you have others that are tremendous at technology that struggle with that relationship piece, and I think we've had to kind of work on those skills, and that's a good skill set to grow if you're going to be a future leader in IT, for sure, and a business leader and an influential leader to help drive that. So that's an important element to making sure that we can realize what that looks like. You see a couple of pictures in there. One of those has got Mike going through his coat of arms. Servant leadership, I know, is one of the AITP fundamentals. I believe in that. That's a Marine Corps fundamental. So I think Mike went first. I may have gone second. We went together. And then you see some of our leaders just really digging in and collaborating. We're not planning a project. We're not working through the architectural decisions in those meetings. It really was building trust. And then when we got to those meetings, when we had those many meetings, we were able to then get, drive those solutions, put a plan together in a reasonable time frame that worked really well. So again, I just can't emphasize enough that just because you're in technology does not mean you should, ignore the leadership aspects. We should be leaders first and technologists second. So just going to kind of wrap up here. I told you guys that my son, there he is. He did smile at some point. He had a great time. He had that one, maybe he had maybe 2 or 3 scares in those areas, and it was good character building. But I think that was over 13,000 feet. He's either smiling because he's happy or lack of oxygen. One or the other is up there. But he had a great time. We're 1.5 years into our merger. We have, again, I kind of was giving you guys some of the beginning and what we were doing. We've completed 4 integration projects. We just completed a massive amount of projects in the last month in July with our ERP consolidation, and we've done a lot of these others as well. And they're hard, they're challenging. We've really tried to have that discussion on maintaining the relationships, maintain the digital experience thread as we pull through that. We've had some wins, we've had some missteps, and we learn from that as we grow, and that's part of that journey as well. But we all the way through that, I've always said, if we accomplish all of those projects and we accomplish all those consolidations and we hit some financial goals, but the experience is not great at the end of this, and we're not done, but at the end of it, the experience isn't great, and our relationships are suffered because of that, we did not have a success. We want to have stronger relationships. We want to have a platform and platforms that we can accelerate the business following that, and just make sure that we are in a better place overall. So at the end of the day, you have to consider digital experience with the crazy complex world we're in. And if you're not thinking about how leaders can drive that and empower them, then you're not going to achieve those results that you need. And it's not easy. This is not an easy task, and we're still working through that. So I think I've kind of landed where I need to on the timing here, but I'm going to go into this area. You got to pull out a Dilbert here. And when I say it's not easy, it's not as easy as just saying, yeah, we consider digital experience. We added it on the list. Why don't you like it? This is a roll your sleeves up, listen event, and trust your leaders to know what's right. So with that, let me pause. Mike and team, is there anything that we want to throw in?
Yeah, we actually have quite a few questions. Let me put it in a place where we have really appreciated the Dilbert, but let's get rid of him for a minute.
Yeah.
and I'm going to go to Keith Thode. Keith is on X today. So Keith, you want to ask your question, and then you can banter with Keith or with Clay a little bit. So Keith, you're muted.
Thanks. Clay, I was just really admiring the thought about the digital experience involved in the merger. My question would be about what did you have to do to advocate for the time and the budget from the M&A folks to kind of really have some time to focus on this?
Yeah, I think earlier on when we were discussing, hey, let's spend some time doing it, I think most of us are very much inclined to just jump into the planning. Let's start to, hey, we need to start architecting the solution. We need to start talking about the process mapping, whatnot. And of course, everybody's in a hurry and we all want to get there, and everybody's asking for when's it going to be done. So, with our team, I think by starting with non-technology related items, how is this impacting us? Consider that. We set the model. Now, as far as adding that to the budget and whatnot, I think that's always a challenge, and be trying to tuck this into every project to talk about, hey, the reason why we want to do this and not leave it alone or do nothing or kick the can down the road is because it's a better experience for our users, and it's gonna help us accelerate into more value for the company. And I think that's always the pitch that I would want to add is, how is this adding value to the company long term? If you can't articulate that, and you can't draw that thread from digital experience to, hey, this is why this is going to be a more efficient model. This is why we're going to, cut costs later or add revenue later. You're probably missing the mark, and you have to do that hard work to do that. But it's project by project, Keith.
Thank you.
Yep.
Clay, we had a comment earlier from Evan Leeper on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Akshay, you want to read that comment and see if you want to talk about it a little bit? I think it was point and not for.
Yeah, I can see it. So it's really about that. When you leave the room, you are aligned with that decision. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of discussions with leaders. And this is part of the reason why I think you get micromanagement sometimes. Hey, we all talked about this. We knew there were some people on the team that were not on board with it. Okay, maybe there's more discussion that has to happen. Maybe you need to say, hey, maybe you haven't created an environment that allows people to speak their mind. And one of the things that I told everybody when we were, earlier on with this is, I know you love your babies. I know you love something you've been with. Maybe you don't. Maybe you like what the other company has. you are free to speak your mind and defend and promote a technology, a process, whatever it may be, in this time period. And I want you to, please get it out. But once we do that, and once we evaluate it, we have to make a decision. And sometimes that is because it's a better experience, and sometimes it's because we can't afford two applications in this doing the same thing. And so I think if you don't spend the time to do that up front, then you're going to miss it. Now, the leave the room piece, I got to be honest with you. If you don't spend the time to develop leaders and develop trust, and have people know that I'm going to support you if you run into something that is a challenge and you're getting challenged in your decentralized model, that'll fall apart, right? So I think the fact that we spent a lot of time, and Mike helped us with this, building that trust allowed us to say, when you leave the room, let's be aligned. Let's promote this in private. Let's not naysay it, at the water cooler or at the bar that night. It's good comment. Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Evan. So I think I'm going to go to AITP Lone Star on the Facebook side. So Brian Howard, can you ask this question?
You bet. What did you do as a comms officer in Iraq that translates to what you're doing leading IT now?
Yeah, you're taking me back a little bit. Yeah, so I got out of the Marine Corps in 2005. I deployed in 2003. There's so much. There's just so much. Look, some people that have worked with me that have heard me say this. No one's shooting at us right now, so let's focus on this crisis of the day, of the minute, and we're all going to go home at some point. We're going to have dinner with our family and whatnot. And it's going to be fine. So I think there is certainly a calm under extraordinary situations. When you have an outage, you have a project that's going sideways, you've got a big go live. I think you just remain calm. Quote unquote, no one's shooting at you. I've done IT in the middle of the desert. We had Dell laptops, plus we had all the tactical equipment and your firearm at your side. It's a bit surreal. But if you've done IT in that environment, IT in Louisville, Texas is serious. We take it very seriously, but you approach it calmly. And I think that allows you to problem solve better. I think it allows your team to realize that we're going to solve this. We will solve it. We will come to the conclusion, and we will high five at the end of this. And I think that's helpful as well.
Awesome. Yeah, the everybody gets to go home and go to dinner part is a pretty key.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So Akshay, this is one from LinkedIn, and I think you asked it, so I'll let you go for it.
So Clay, a lot of folks joining this presentation of yours today are coming from a sales, or you always servicing the customer end of the day, right? So the question is, how do you ensure that that entire digital transformation journey through M&A improves the customer experience?
Yeah, I hit on a couple of things there, and we could, you could spend a long time on a lot of these points. And I mentioned this before. The digital transformation in an M&A, the core of it is just consolidation, right? Picking the right platform that's going to support the in-state process, et cetera. And that's that's an exercise that's in any M&A playbook. But how do you ensure it improves the experience? That's where I think the hard work is. That's the point I'm trying to make is you have to include other aspects, understand the personas, understand the working styles, and build that into the project discussion, right? Because if you don't, what can happen is I had several people approach, this probably happens at any M&A. Hey, can we just stay on what we're on and not change, because this is kind of a good experience for my team. And you're looking at this holistically and realizing, no, this is not going to be a good experience for the combined team, right? So we have to consider and challenge tactfully the right thought around what's the in-state experience going to be. But you have a lot of preference bias in there, and I think you just have to add this into your project. Have the hard conversations up front. That's the ensure part, because if you wait till the end, it's too late. The money's spent, and it could be years before you address it again. I've been in those companies. We did not want to do this within this organization.
I think the last comment / question I'll bring is Chris Adams. He says, "Great job, boss. Remain calm. Nobody's shooting at us. Always stuck with me." The other one, and this is interesting based on your thing about trust. Maybe you could talk about that. Choose carefully who is in a foxhole with you. That was the other. So
yeah, Chris has heard me say that because Chris is a good friend, and I'll say Chris and I worked together when I was not in IT. I was a business leader at Stryker. Chris saved my bacon so much. He knows this. I've said it to him a million times. Insanely smart individual and somebody who does not give his trust easily, and you have to earn it. And so he was working with me in a technical role at Stryker, but not IT. It was supporting operating rooms and keeping them running, and that was a insanely stressful job. And I think that is right after I was in the Marines, actually. And so that stuck with me, and no one was shooting at us. And you've really got to make sure that you know who you trust and who you're working with. And sometimes you can't choose that. You get paired, you get put with teams. And so what you do is you try to create that trust, and you build it, and you put them in situations and cross-functional projects, and you put people together, and you help coach them through that to where they can build that trust. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but I think that you've got to try to do that. Mike, we tried to recreate that artificially in a short amount of time, but then following that, we very intentionally, try to organize that to where you can get people to build that. But appreciate that, Chris, man. Yeah, we would always fight in a foxhole together any day.
absolutely. All right. Well, thanks very much, Clay. Really appreciate the excellent presentation, thoughts behind it, and active answers to the questions for those that had them. I'm going to look one more time, just make sure. I think we do have one more question. Sorry about that, Brian.
I'll answer it quickly. Be good.
Yeah, I was just, my question was, you spent so much time in the healthcare industry, and are there some inherent challenges with that industry that makes these digital transformations even more complex?
Yeah, well, one, the stakes are high, I would say, right? So we just finished an ERP. I won't say finished. We are still stabilizing.
Are you
ERP.
ever finished?
I'm glad you said that.
Version, which version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we consolidated. We still got a lot of work to do, right? And we're working on that. But the stakes are high, right? And we have those conversations all the time around. Look, our shipments are critical, right? They are supporting a surgery on the table. This is your aunt. This is your mom. This is one of your. It's right. You always have to think about that in this industry, and it's why I love this industry, by the way. I've done healthcare. I've done med device quite a bit, mostly med device. And what we do has high stakes. And if you're in IT, you can quickly draw that thread, and you should quickly draw that thread to the healthcare and positive outcomes to a patient on the table. And that is something that we always talk about. It's not hard to do. And if you ever think that you're just writing code or you're just a help desk tech, no, you are supporting improved outcomes for patients. And so those stakes make it really high. Now, if you want to just have a quick link to digital experience, the better that our business partners can utilize and maximize and wring every possible value out of our technology solutions, the better they're able to provide better patient outcomes as well. And so really it is just that chain there that is, it's very fulfilling. When it's going sideways and we're having problems, it's very stressful, but that comes with it.
I believe it.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Clay. I appreciate it. We're going to have a little bit of a challenge to get through the business portion of our meeting tonight. So the good thing is we had very robust questions and answers, and that's always appreciated. And I think it's one of the favorite parts of people's experience here. I'm going to switch over back to the slides. And let's see who's next. So Akshay, you want to talk a little bit about mission for the organization?
So our mission is to provide superior leadership and education in information technology. And we are dedicated to using the synergy of information technology partnerships to provide education and benefit to our members, and to be working with the industry to assist in the overall promotion and direction of value creation with business technology. And
Awesome.
we kind of do this through our online meetings every month on the third Thursday. And then we also do it through our partner sponsored events.
Absolutely. And notice I highlighted value creation because we're getting into giving back too, and I think that's going to come up pretty quickly. Before I do that, I just want to recommend people come back next month on September 19th. We're going to have another old friend of ours, Rusty Kennington, one of the people that's brought down the house at AITP before. He's going to talk about insights from a 3-time private equity chief information officer, and really talk about the themes that he's seen through those 3 experiences that he's had. Look forward to that. Please save the date, and that will be probably 2 weeks from now. We'll put it out. Putting things out a month in advance is not working for us. So I'm going to try a little bit different tack this time. We'll do it 2 weeks before, and then hit it with some videos. Joe Vaughn's going to come in October. Renee Arrington in November. Amir Tabai, I talked about at the beginning in December, and we're already moving into a kickoff for January of 2025 with Brad Cope. He's going to talk about the power and peril of AI in marketing, and that's a pretty cool assignment, one that he has great experience with. What I'd like to do now, and this is a little different too, Keith and I talked when he was in Boston last week. And he has a proposal before the board. So the board has received his full proposal, but I ask you to take 3 minutes, Keith, to walk through 2 slides about the Work Ready Academy and kind of the offering that you're offering to the group. And then for those of you who are online, if you could say something about how interested you are in this, that would be helpful to us on the board. So Keith, go.
Well, thanks, Mike. So I'm Keith Thode, CEO and Chief Scientist at AdvancedNet Labs. We are a tech for good organization based in North Texas, and we serve organizations around the globe. I'm prepared to do this in about a minute, Mike. So our proposed partnership has 3 main areas. We're going to fuel the AITP accreditation program. So that would provide, learning is so important to this group. We're going to help provide AITP shorter focused industry certificates, as well as more in-depth industry certification programs. By doing this, we'll raise the expertise, the exposure and status for AITP, provide more incentives for membership, and provide a real opportunity, a revenue opportunity also for AITP. Second, we'll be providing an online university. It's a leading edge curriculum from leading industry partners, and the platform is Cornerstone or Cornerstone On Demand. So for some of you, that is probably your online learning system. It's the largest corporate one out there. And as well as we'll add a financial sponsorship to our partnership with AITP. We have such a common vision about how to help people. So this is a real joy for us. So not only will this partnership help your IT professionals get the latest and greatest. I'm personally taking the AI for business curricula right now. But also, too, this will provide an opportunity to give back. We will use the same work that we'll have curated together. We'll help and deploy it for second chance folks. We'll deploy it for folks that struggle with poverty and youth. For example, Dallas ISD, all of the career and technical education programs at the ISD will have the opportunity to be impacted by this. And then things like military, just with Clay's talk today. Reskilling and credentialing our military veterans to get them ready for the workforce. We'll deploy this in places like that. One of our current program partners is Tech for Troops, for example. This will really elevate our effectiveness in programming with them. So I would love to talk more, but I think we will in the future. There's a lot of places we can take this, but I really look forward to partnering with AITP.
Yeah, we'll take it offline, Keith. But I really wanted to highlight the great work that you've been doing. For those of you who do not remember Keith in my orbit, we worked together at Aid Matrix, where he was the chief operating officer. Aid Matrix was the company that created and managed the food bank system for Africa, Europe, and North America. That software still exists. Who is the organization that's taking care of it now, Keith?
Tech Impact.
Yeah, Tech Impact. But Keith was also the founder of the Digital Ball here in Dallas, if you remember back when it was sponsored by Aid Matrix, and was the last time that I was associated with the Digital Ball too. So I appreciate, Keith, your efforts in the community. Really am excited about this offering for our members. Look forward to fleshing it out and putting something together that is a true value for not only our members, but for those that we can serve in the industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, let's see here. All right, I'll go ahead and cover this one. So I talked about it earlier. Basically, what we are doing is Miraj Ahmed, who was the CIO when I was the Chief Revenue Officer at CBiz Property Tax Solutions in the early 2000s. And I worked together at eLoyalty before that as well, doing CRM strategy. And he's agreed to do this part-time as a fractional CTO. And I have a couple of other members who are considering joining. One's a VP of digital experience at a large retail company. And another one is a project manager at Microsoft. So what we're doing is we're trying to find small things that we can do where we can gift a web page to this Virtues project, which has been going on for about 30 years, providing workshops for Virtues all over the world: Tanzania, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, South America, Canada, United States, everywhere, and bring that to them. So we'll get more information as we provide that solution. We already have it agreed to by the board to sponsor it. And the model here, Keith, you'll find interesting. It's a no-cost model. So because we're a not-for-profit, we're looking for volunteers. We're going to manage the volunteers on behalf of Virtues Project, provide with them the technology development for nothing, but we will value it, and then we will come back to the marketplace and say, hey, this is the kind of value that we drove with no dollars of investment. So it's a really kind of a cool model, and I look forward to sharing more about it. One of our partners who has been quietly helping us get the word out about AITP for quite a while is Brian Howard. Brian is an IT professional. He has been a sponsor of AITP before and has his own gig on the side called Job Seeker Pro. So Brian, tell us a little bit about it and the offering that you've put together for us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. It's great to see everybody again. And Clay, I really appreciated the talk very much. Yeah, so what Job Seeker Pro does is we help professionals like all of you when there's an opportunity in your career for transition, whether you're going for an upgrade or whether you possibly have had a job loss, or maybe you have a son or daughter that's graduated from college, and what process do you follow to find a job? And so what we've done is we've outlined best practice steps to help you really stand out and really shine. We have a couple of tips on here. I'll give you 3 quick tips today, and then I'm going to share with you a resource. Whether yourself, your son, or your daughter are looking for a job, remember that your LinkedIn is a commercial. You can actually attract views and attract jobs by posting about your expertise. So that's number 1. Number 2, your profile. Think of that as an advertisement. It's got to be compelling and creative, not just complete, but a bit on the creative side as well. The third thing is professional photo. I look at thousands of LinkedIn profiles, and I speak with students from all over the world, actually. And one of the biggest quick things to do is fix your profile photo. You can do that for free with Rimini or Try It On. Those are some AI apps that'll just upgrade your iPhone photo to a wonderful business-like photo. So work on that. Got some other great tips over at jobseeker.pro/blog/7. There's a blog post there that know the 7 predictors of job loss risk. Mike actually has commented positively on this. Other people have as well. I appreciate that, Mike. But there really is 7 key things to look out for to see how it's going for your personal situation. The last thing is, we've actually never done this before, but we set up a special partner page just for AITP Lone Star for some free resources. It's a very easy URL. It's right there on the screen on the right. jobseeker.pro/AITP for free resources as well as a free 1-hour training to help you set yourself apart during your job search. Thanks so much, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Brian. And thanks for your support in the marketplace on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. All right. Akshay, not only is he a board member, but he is a partner too. What are you going to be doing on August 22nd?
So, Mike, this is going to be our first in-person event for AITP, Lone Star. So I would like to invite everybody listening to us today to join us for a happy hour at Boomer Jacks in Grapevine. Please feel free to get your friends, your colleagues, your peers to come and meet us in person and share your leadership styles with the folks out there.
Awesome. And give us 30 seconds on what ThemeSoft does.
So ThemeSoft, we are an IT consulting company. We have offices locally here in the DFW metropolis, California, New York, and then we also have offices in Canada, Brazil, and back in India in Chennai. And we are working with our customers to provide them high quality resources, whether they are in ERP, CRM, or working on any digital transformation a journey. And I know a lot of people are here come from the corporate world, but we are a minority and a woman-owned company. So we can probably partner with you on a specific a state or a federal projects too, because
Awesome.
a lot of these places they have a SBE goal. So.
Thanks very much. If you don't know Akshay, when you get there, and I know you, let me introduce you to him. You'll love getting to know him. He's a great guy, and he's a Regional Leadership Forum graduate from many years ago.
Oh man, it's been ages.
All right. So one of the things, since I'm a partner of AITP as well, I actually do all the broadcasts of the shows and everything. The easiest way to follow us is to go to Meetup and join the chapter. But you can also follow me on YouTube, and both the AITP shows and my own Growing the Next Version of You shows will show there. Next Tuesday at noon, Virtue's Master Facilitator Donna Wheatcroft is going to be on my show. I've been putting a little bit of snippets out for her. I think you'll find it really interesting. She's in her mid 80s now. She did Virtue's training for 10 years after she retired from being a teacher in Calgary, Canada. And she's a salt of the earth lady. You need to meet her. So hopefully we'll see you there. Brian, you want to talk a little bit about Elevate IT in Houston?
Sure, you bet. Thanks, Mike and everybody. So next month, September 19th, Thursday, we will be there hosting a booth at Elevate IT. It's a technology summit at the Hyatt Regency in Houston West. There's always some great vendors. We were there in Dallas as well earlier this year, and we're looking forward to the event in Houston. If you're not familiar with Elevate IT, I would encourage you to look them up. Those events are, leverage a decade of conference experience and produce a high quality trade show and events and presentations by executives and IT professionals around the area of those regions. And they're all over the U.S. and many places of the country. And so I encourage you to take a look at that and meet us in Houston again, September 19th on that Thursday at the Hyatt Regency. It'll be a lot of great information, great networking with some C-suite activities, and look forward to seeing everybody there.
I just figured out while you were talking, Brian, that I'm actually going to have to be broadcasting this show from the hotel, because that event probably won't end till right around 6:30 or so. And our AITP chapter meeting starts at 7:00. So
that's right.
Maybe we won't be able to drive home that night. All right. Akshay, you talked a little bit about the fact that we do our online meetings and our localized partner meetings. You've actually showed that multiple times. How do people join the group?
We have a link on our LinkedIn, and we are like live on Meetup site. So if you want to join AITP, I would recommend going to meeting.com/AITP-Lone Star, and you can find all of us out there, or you can just ping the board members, and we'll be more than happy to help you and assist you.
Absolutely. Join us with Rusty. You'll get some information about that soon. And living up to our promise, I'm going to end it right at 8 o'clock. So God bless everybody, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye, everyone.